morning. Today is the last day of the week, and I'm delighted that you're here with us. And as usual, we talk about news, but under the BKBB banner, which is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Party. Normally, this channel talks about policy analysis, a occasional story, and a conversation. But this time at 8:15 in the morning, on weekdays, Monday to Friday, we talk about news behind the news. And today, my co-anchor here is Anurag. Welcome, Anurag. It's good to have you here. And what we are going to do is, we're going to take up the following three titles. The first is the US Congress has finally passed the big, beautiful bill with a very slim majority. The second is Foxconn's plans in India. It's got one more clearance. And the third is a question whether India's economy is slowing down even further. Here is something. Let's see the first story first. The US, with a very slim majority, managed to pass the big, beautiful bill. Unfortunately, while President Trump may be triumphant, his own party members are not very happy. Nor are the Democrats. Why? Because the big, beautiful bill seeks to remove many of the benefits that the poor get. Medical benefits, social benefits, etc., etc. And many of the benefits have gone to the rich. Trump's argument is that the rich produce goods, create wealth, and they should be promoted so the poor can be uplifted. Maybe so. But midterms are just around the corner, and the poor won't like this bill at all. There's a second problem. Economists have studied the bill very carefully and said, yes, while GDP may go up marginally, the trouble is that your deficit will also grow phenomenally, which means that the US could be on a very sticky wicket here. But there are signs that US-China relations may ease a little bit. China said there's no need for a war. It's best to work without a war, and the US eased all the sale of chips to China. Whether there are fine print clauses here and there remains to be seen. It also remains to be seen whether players like ASML in Norway are allowed to sell machines, chip-making machines, to China. So while the initial start is good and both countries are making pleasant sounds, it is yet to be seen whether both will agree to work together. Anyway, let's take the second story, which is in a way about China and USA and India. It's about Foxconn.
Good morning. Foxconn's Chinese engineers have been recalled from India, disrupting the ramp up for the next iPhone model scheduled to launch in September. However, Apple and Foxconn, anticipating this move for the past 4 to 5 months, have already initiated plans to bring in experts from Taiwan and the US to maintain production timelines. China's restrictions extend beyond manpower, with export controls on key manufacturing equipment required for the new iPhone 17 assembly lines. The replacement of Chinese engineers is expected to take up to 2 months, and the report says that the Indian technicians will continue to manage production of previous iPhone models while the transition of the new lineup is underway. Currently, Foxconn employs around 40,000 people in South India and plans to hire another 1,000 in July. The company is also deploying staff from other international units as needed, but the cost of bringing in US experts is about 6 times higher, and Taiwanese experts about 50 to 60% higher as compared to Chinese engineers. This could impact the economics of local manufacturing and potentially increasing the price of the new and upcoming iPhone 17. On the other hand, Tata Electronics, another iPhone manufacturer in India, employs engineers from Taiwan and other countries, but not China. Foxconn's Indian operations, which include facilities in Tamil Nadu and upcoming plans in Karnataka, are expanding their component ecosystem as well by bringing in new collaborations with other companies. China's actions are part of a broader strategy to slow the migration of high tech manufacturing out of its borders, affecting both manpower and capital goods supply. As India's role in Apple's global production grows, the question remains, can India's manufacturing ecosystem adapt quickly enough to reduce its dependency on external expertise and equipment? Or will these disruptions become a recurring feature in the global tech landscape? What's your take on this, sir?
Anurag, it's a great story for many reasons. It's the largest foreign investment and export oriented project in India. Both the Tata and the Foxconn projects are very important. But there are two issues. One, President Trump is not very happy with this project. He's told Tim Cook already that he would like the production to be in America, not in India. It also remains to be seen whether the US will impose tariffs on something we imported from India to America. And if that takes place, Apple sales in the US will also get affected. Remember, Apple is also facing a lot of tailwind, even in China, where Huawei sales have overtaken Apple's. So yes, Foxconn has problems. Apple has already started making contingency plans, but it remains to be seen whether India, right, as you point out, Anurag, whether India can create the environment for sustainable production, whether imports are going to be impacted, and whether the newly imported workers will be enough to take care of the large volumes of production. And finally, there is the issue of pricing, which is a very sensitive issue when it comes to markets. But thank you, Anurag. Great story, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, let's take the third story. The Reserve Bank of India recently said that the momentum was strong in India and India's growth will continue. Will it? Look at these two charts. Both are mint. GST has gone down just just a little over 6%. And if you adjust for returns and adjustments, it may fall to 3%. And GST is the very number of government collections. If GST slows down, that could be two reasons. One is manufacture's gone down. But the second more interesting reason is that the government's own spending as freebies has also declined because the government has no money. And why does the government not have any money? Look at the second chart. Investment proposals by the private sector and by the government have slowed down. If investments don't take place, jobs won't take place. If jobs won't take place, there'll be poverty. If there's poverty, no matter what your new slabs of GST are, you will have a problem in collecting money and the economy will have a problem in growing. We think FDI may not be as rosy as the RBI promised it would be. So while government spokespersons continue to say that everything is hunky-dory, chances are there could be trouble ahead. Anyway, that takes me to the end of the news analysis, and let me go further to two other things. One, to remind you to please click the subscribe button if you've not clicked it already, if you're not subscribers already. Second, to click the like button, it helps us immensely. And third, to request you to tell all your friends about us. We need a larger market, we need a bigger market, and we need to grow. And that takes us to two other questions, to the last point, and that is questions from the audience. The big beautiful bill has affected the core education and health. How people react to it. As I mentioned, midterms are just around the corner. People are not going to react very well. Already the young, extremely annoyed by the restraints put on colleges and universities, by the kind of attacks on Harvard. Harvard has won a reprieve from the courts and is taking in international enrollments. But students are furious. And when you take away education benefits, when you take away benefits like USEFI, when you take away grants and you take away medical benefits, the poor are going to be impacted. And that is why even the Republicans are very unhappy. And that is again the reason why the bill scraped through with a very, very small margin. There could be trouble there. But that means Trump may decide to collect more money from the developing countries, that his troubles could become troubles for us. Okay. Then there is a second issue. There's a second question. Why is the government annoyed with iPhones being produced in India? Simple. Trump's motto is make America great again. He wants to bring in all manufacturing to America. Never mind the fact that even the founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, had once remarked there are many things about Apple that cannot be done in America. But will the Trump camp listen? I don't know. Let's see what happens. And there's a third question. How serious could the slowdown in India be? Pretty serious. Please remember, India has also been borrowing money to keep afloat. Our debt burden is growing up. And our basic employment remains under great strain. When you have young people without jobs, without money making opportunities, and without decent education, and without decent health facilities, there's always scope for violence. There's always scope for political parties using these disaffected youths to lobby for one cause or the other, and that will spill over to the streets and spill more blood. India will go through difficult times. And that takes me to the end of today's session. And this is the last day of the week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. And look forward to seeing you once again on Mondays. Thank you.